Honorable members, prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and thy good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, As I told you yesterday, we are expecting the arrival of the President of the Republic of Mozambique. We'll be hosting him, and he will deliver an address through us to the people of Ghana. Whilst we wait for his arrival, I will have to give opportunity for some papers to be laid by the majority leader. Depending on how things roll out, I may have to call on my deputies to take over for me to go out to receive His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Mozambique. And so now we'll move straight away, since I have no message from His Excellency the President and I don't have a formal communication, we'll move away to the commencement of public business. And my guidance is to go to presentation of papers, which is item 6, and to give the majority leader and leader of the House the opportunity to lay a number of papers. Leader, you may do so now.
Speaker, thank you very much. Speaker, unfortunately, today is also scheduled to be a cabinet day, and some of the ministers are there already. For which reason we've asked that we halt the cabinet meeting for them to come to Parliament. Speaker, if you permit me in that regard, and of course subject to indulgence of my colleagues, I want to lay the papers on behalf of the other ministers also listed. So we can begin with 6A. I could do the presentation of the papers as quickly as possible.
So may we start with item 6. A.
Work in Fishing Convention 2007, number 188 of the International Labour Organization, ILO.
Honourable members, the paper is laid accordingly and is referred to the Committee on Transport for consideration and report to the House. In handling this matter, I want to urge the committee to invite the leadership of the Committee on Agriculture and Employment and Social Welfare. This is a cut. Well, I have been called upon to expand the committee to include the leadership of the Committee on Foreign Affairs. And please, we may need some support from the legal fraternity, because it's dealing with a convention, a law. We want to have inputs from all sides, very participatory, and have a holistic, comprehensive report on this ILO convention. Now we move to item 6B.
Annual Budget Performance Report of the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture Development for the period January to December 2021.
Honorable members, the report is laid accordingly and referred to the Committee on Agriculture. Committee, please kindly consider this urgently and report back to the House. Item 6C.
Annual Budget Performance Report of the Ministry of Railways Development for the period January to December 2021.
Honorable members, the performance report is also laid accordingly and is referred to the Committee on Roads and Transport for consideration and report to the House. Item 6D.
Annual Budget Performance Report of the Ministry of Youth and Sports for the period January to December 2021.
Honorable members, a report from the Ministry of Youth and Sports is laid accordingly and is referred to the Committee on Youth and Sports for consideration and report to the House. We now move to item 6E.
Of the Office of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice for the period January to December 2021.
Honorable members, the report of the Ministry of the Attorney General and Ministry of Justice for the period January to December 2021 is referred to the Committee on Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs for consideration and report to the House. Item 6F. Yes, Majority Leader.
Speaker, just to make a distinction between F Roman number 1 and F Roman number 2. So I'll do one first.
Yes, please, could you kindly lay the one that is 6F Roman 1.
Annual Budget Performance Report of the Ministry of Finance for the period January to December 2021.
The report is laid accordingly, referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report to the House. Roman 2 of item 6F. Majority Leader.
Reconciliation Report on the Petroleum Holding Fund for the year 2021.
Honorable members, definitely I'll refer it to the Committee of Finance, but call upon the leadership of the Committee on Energy to support the committee in the consideration of this reconciliation report. We now move to item 6G.
Annual Budget Performance Report of the Ministry of Information for the period January to December 2021.
The report is laid accordingly and referred to the Committee on Communications and Information for consideration and report to the House. Item 6H.
Annual Budget Performance Report of the Ministry of Energy for the period January to December 2021.
Honorable members, the report is referred to the Committee on Energy for consideration and report to the House. Go to 6I, Roman 1.
Annual Budget Performance Report of the Public Services Commission for the period January to December 2021.
Honorable members, the report is referred to the Committee on State Enterprises for consideration and report to the House. We now move to 6I Roman 2.
Annual Budget Performance Report of National Development Planning Commission for the period January to December 2021.
Honourable members, this annual budget performance report is referred to the Committee on Finance. Since we have not yet established the Committee on the Economy, I think that relevant committees' leadership may join. This is a very important report that I expect us to do some much work on it, because we have to reposition properly the National Development Planning Commission to lead the country technically, for us to come out with a very credible, feasible, and implementable development plan for the country. So it's referred accordingly for consideration and report to the House. We now move to item 6I Roman 3.
Annual report on the staffing position of the Office of the President for the period January to December 2021.
Honourable members, the staffing position of the Office of the President is referred to the committee, I believe, Committee of Finance, but I want to call on leadership to pay attention to this report and to let the House hear from them the state of affairs at the presidency. We need to be able to guide His Excellency the President in these matters. We expect your report as soon as practicable, because it looks like things have delayed a bit in coming before the House. Honourable members, it's for your consideration and report to the House. Item 6I Roman 4.
Annual report of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission for the year 2020.
Honourable members, the report is laid accordingly and is referred to the Committee on Energy for consideration and report to the House. Item 6J. 6J.
Speaker, you are the chairman of the Committee on Selection. There are some outstanding issues, and so in all probability, we'll take this sometime next week.
Honourable members, we are told that the report is actually not ready. Yesterday, I was informed by leadership of a few things that they had to take a second look at before they come with the final list. And so we will have to take this later. Item 6K, Honourable Majority Leader. No, this is for the chairman of the Committee on Mines and Energy. (6K) is not ready.
Honourable Speaker, it's not ready.
It's ready.
It's not.
It's not ready.
With respect, it's not.
Please expedite action on it. Honourable members, in the circumstances, I'll have to draw your attention to the presence in the chamber of Canadian senators and members of parliament representing the Canada Country Association who are here on a follow-up visit to our beloved country. I want to mention their names And as I do that, they will definitely be recognized by you when they are up on their feet, and then we share the usual hospitality with them. And so I start with the Honorable Member, Senator Honorable Amina Gerba as the leader. She is the co-chair of the association, and that is Canada-Africa Parliamentary Association. The next is the vice chair, Senator Honorable René Cormier. Forgive me, my French is not too good, but I can get around Canada with my French. The third person is the Honorable Member of Parliament, who is a member of the association in the person of Honorable Duke Shipley. The last but not the least is the director. And the director is also a member of Parliament, and he's the director of the Canada-Africa Parliamentary Association in the person of Honorable Ives Perron. On behalf of the Parliament of Ghana and the 275 honorable members of the Parliament, I want to warmly welcome all of you, together with the High Commissioner, His Excellency Kati Saba, who is here with us and had in fact paid a courtesy call on this house, and I was so happy to receive her. I want to extend our gratitude to you for what you're doing on behalf of the good people of Canada in Ghana. We also have some members of the staff of the Canadian High Commission with them. You are all warmly welcome. This is the Parliament of Ghana. I only preside. I am of the Parliament, but I'm not a member of Parliament. And so we resumed sitting just yesterday. And so we are happy that I'm happy that the second day we are receiving such a distinguished delegation from your lovely country. I've had the opportunity of visiting your country a number of times, and I had a unique opportunity of also learning under your feet, and particularly through the intervention of the Canada-Africa Parliamentary Association. In fact, it's a center, not association, parliamentary center. It's through that center that our own brother, Dr. Rashid Draman, was raised up, groomed, and he has now established his own, ASEPA, which is running for the whole of the continent. And so we are extremely grateful to Canada for all the assistance in building up the parliamentary democracy in Ghana. I will not go to the area of development because that is for His Excellency the President. But it's important for me to inform members that this year, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association International Conference is being hosted by Canada in Halifax, Nova Scotia. we will definitely be sending a high-powered delegation led by my good self to that conference. And definitely our presence will be felt because I happen to be the vice president of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association International, ably supported by the majority leader, who is the vice chair of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association International. And our brothers and sisters of the Commonwealth has also graciously agreed that we host the next conference next year. By His grace. And so the presence of Ghana will be felt. We'll definitely have to send some of our staff so that they understudy the processes that Canada will go through and make sure that we do better than what Canada will offer us this year. So you are most welcome, and we are happy to receive you. At this juncture, I think I will have to call on my colleague, the First Deputy Speaker, to take the chair so that I could, on your behalf, together with your leaders, receive His Excellency the President of the Republic of Mozambique. Honorable First Deputy Speaker, to take the chair. Talking, the statement. So that they cut it short. Honorable members, we have a short statement which I believe he will take in the meantime, and we expect that the comments will be brief. And we'll be back at answer in the name of two, I think he's the Vice Chair of the Committee on Youth and Sports, Honorable Kobina Mensah Woyomi, and it's on the usual thing. Definitely, football.
Yes, Honorable Member. Honorable Woyomi, you may read your statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the beautiful game of football is beginning to lose its credibility in our country, considering the fact that different activities result in the manipulation of some aspects of a game to make sure that one team wins a particular sports match. These activities may also include point sharing, which is often used as a means of approaching impressionable match-fixing marks, because in a point-shaving scheme, the objective of the fix is to lose by less than a point spread, not to lose the game itself. The fact that the team does not need to lose the game can be psychologically and morally enticing to certain players who may feel an obligation to terminate, or coaches not to lose, but are able to justify shaving points. Match fixing, Mr. Speaker, match fixing is another strategy where a player or team intentionally putting in a subpar effort though tanking sounds sinister in nature, it can sometimes be advantageous. For players depending on tournament structures, this quick was the case at the 2012 Summer Olympics when 8 badminton players were disqualified for tanking. Mr. Speaker, it is interesting to know that match fixing comes under two prominent conceptualizations, namely, one, gambling and gambling corruption. Gambling syndicates have found success by altering the very action that takes place on the field of play. These syndicates realized that the fringes of professional sports are vulnerable for exploitation because officials and athletes are frequently underpaid. However, these groups have also found success in infiltrating the biggest sports leagues in the world, including scandals at the highest level of competition. Mr. Speaker, match fixing is a global challenge, I must confess, where criminals use advanced technology in communication to operate globally, with many betting markets, both legal and illegal, now operating online and in real time. Fixers are able to bet on and manipulate matches regardless of their geographic location. Criminals who also work in highly organized and mobile networks are able to use agents to act as middlemen to manipulate members of the football community globally. Coaches and managers, club executives, member association officials, players, agents, event organizers, the bookmakers, and in particular players and officials, all have direct influence over the course of a match for a large financial reward. Mr. Speaker, the football circle in particular is faced with a significant number of match-fixing incidents and allegations of corruption. Football, like other sports, is certainly entertainment, but it is also far more than that. It mirrors our society and serves as the repository for some of our most cherished values. Children and adults look to athletes as heroes, drawn by the aspects of character that play out on the pitch. Determination, great talent, respect, fair play, and justice. At their best, sports in general and football in particular are the stage on which we strive for physical, even spiritual greatness. They are important ingredients in the social glue that binds modern society. Match fixing destroys all of these. When sports becomes a model of corruption, the demoralization effect influences all of society. Athletes are regarded as heroes, particularly to the young ones in society. Therefore, when these heroes are corrupt, we have a very undesirable type of role models setting the bar for the youth. Interpol's report on match fixing in football and Training Needs Assessment published on 14th August 2013 indicates that fans who pay for tickets and cable subscriptions are defrauded by this very act. Legal gamblers have their money stolen by the fixers, and the entire sports industry, from players, referees, and coaches to the clubs, their directors and advertisers loses when disillusioned fans stop coming. Mr. Speaker, one could indicate some instances of match fixing, such as a friendly match played between Togo and Bahrain in September 2010. The Bahrain team, which won the match 3-0, questioned the quality of the Togo squad, with the coach even remarking that they were not fit enough to play 90 minutes. Unquote. When the Togo football learned that the national team had not traveled to Bahrain, it was discovered that imposters were used in the match. The former coach of the Togo national team admitted that he was involved in setting up the match. And the recent one in Ghana, where during the Premier League, there was a report of match fixing between Ashanti Gold and Inter Allies, with a fixed score line of 5 goals to 1.
Honorable Member, Honorable Woyome, you may suspend your statement for now. Honorable members, sitting is suspended temporarily.
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable members, as I conveyed to you yesterday and this morning, we are more than privileged. I must say we are honored to have in our presence the President of the Republic of Mozambique. He is in the person of His Excellency Filipe Jacinto Nyusi. He assumed office of the presidency since the 15th of January 2015. So he's quite experienced in his office. He has gladly decided to break and make a record for being the first president of Mozambique to pay an official visit to Ghana. I think we are blessed, and I want to, on your behalf and on behalf of the Parliament of Ghana, warmly welcome him to the House. But before I go on, it's important for me to draw your attention to the fact that he is not alone in this mission, that he has quite a powerful, strong delegation made up of some members of Parliament, staff, and in fact, ministers of state, together with His Excellency the Ambassador of Mozambique to Ghana. It's a long list that I may only plead to mention a few of their names so that we could give time to Excellency to share his wisdom, experience, and knowledge with the people of Ghana through us. And so with your kind permission, I will use what they refer to as the main delegation. The format is 1+5. We have accompanying His Excellency on this noble mission, as I stated earlier on, some ministers, particularly the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Cooperation, the person of Her Excellency Veronica Nathaniel Makamu Dlovu. Honorable Minister, you are warmly welcome. We also have a member of the Assembly of the Republic, in the person of His Excellency Alberto Mutukutuku. I hope I got the name correct. It's Mutukutuku. We have another member of the Assembly of the Republic, in the person of His Excellency Margarida Jose Naiti, and His Excellency Maria Angelina Diku, who is also a member of the Assembly of the Republic. And the last but not the least member, His Excellency, the Portuguese name for my name, Albano Bulande Jose. So I have a very good brother in Mozambique. There are other members of the delegation, as I indicated, and the list is quite long, but it's important I mention the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development. That is the 5+1. His Excellency Celso Ismael Correa. Those of you who are football lovers will know the name Correa. He is also here as part of the delegation of His Excellency the President of Mozambique. With these few words, may I now have the honor and privilege of inviting His Excellency to share his words of wisdom, his knowledge, experience, and vision with his brotherly brothers and sisters of Ghana through the legitimate and elected members of Parliament in this House. Your Excellency, you are most welcome.
His Excellency Speaker of the Parliament, please allow me to use the Portuguese and also inviting over you for the translation.
Your Excellency, may go on. I'm sure we have some people here who speak and understand Portuguese.
The translation?
We have your listen there too for translation.
We have.
So please, kindly be prepared. Mine is here with me.
Yes.
So I'm covered. His Excellency, you have yours there.
For you.
Oh no, I have. I'm covered. Yes, you may now go on.
Sua Excelência Albano Kingsford Sumana Magdim, Presidente da Assembleia Nacional do Ghana. Está funcionando? Ilustres senhores deputados da Assembleia Nacional do Ghana, ilustres senhores deputados da Assembleia da República de Moçambique, senhores membros dos governos da República do Ghana e da República de Moçambique, respeitados membros do corpo diplomático aqui presentes, distintos convidados, minhas senhoras e meus senhores. Em primeiro lugar, gostaríamos de exprimir os meus mais sinceros agradecimentos em nome do povo e do governo de Moçambique pela oportunidade que nos é concedida para nos dirigirmos a esta magna Assembleia, constituída pelos digníssimos mandatários do povo guinense. Aproveitamos a oportunidade para transmitir uma fraternal e caloroso abraço dos cerca de 30 milhões de moçambicanos aos nossos irmãos do Ghana, muito bem representados por vossas excelências. Estamos, sobretudo, reconhecidos ao Sr. Presidente da Assembleia Nacional por ter convocado esta sessão extraordinária, no momento em que este órgão se encontrava de férias parlamentares, o que demonstra a importância que os senhores deputados atribuem às relações entre os nossos dois povos e países e o sentido do poder democrático em África. Senhor Presidente da Assembleia da República, Excelências, há quem pode afirmar que as nossas relações podem ser traçadas a partir dos primeiros contactos dos exploradores europeus no século XV, que depois de se estabelecerem nesta costa do Ouro, no Atlântico, chegaram a Moçambique, na costa oriental da África, também em busca do ouro. No entanto, as relações entre os nossos dois povos vêm ganhando forma desde a década de 1950, quando o Ghana se tornou um dos primeiros países africanos a alcançar a independência. Nessa altura, sob a sábia liderança do pai da nação guinense, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, o precursor da descolonização e do panafricanismo, o Ghana serviu de retaguarda segura dos movimentos nacionalistas, incluindo alguns dos nacionalistas moçambicanos. De facto, no decurso da nossa luta de libertação nacional, o nosso presidente Eduardo Mondlane ia regularmente a Accra para buscar aconselhamentos do presidente Nkrumah, que contribuíram para a conquista da independência de Moçambique em 1975, ato incontestável para todos os moçambicanos. Hoje, estamos aqui, nesta magna casa, para celebrar esta história comum dos nossos povos. Viemos, acima de tudo, reafirmar o desejo ardente do nosso povo e governo de abrir um novo capítulo nas relações de amizade e cooperação com o Ghana para o benefício mútuo dos dois países. Senhor Presidente da Assembleia Nacional, Excelência, ilustres deputados, senhores e senhoras, a Constituição Transitória de 1954, que definiu as bases para a independência nacional do Ghana, entretanto proclamada em 1957, preconizou a criação de um órgão representativo com a função legislativa e fiscalizadora da ação do Executivo. Desde então, a Assembleia Nacional, agora na sua 8ª legislatura, tem se afirmado como um dos principais garantes do equilíbrio do poder do Estado, servindo de principal plataforma institucional de debate democrático e de construção de consensos em defesa do interesse nacional. A nossa presença neste Parlamento não visa cumprir uma agenda parlamentar formal. É uma oportunidade para buscar referências, pois a nossa ordem constitucional assenta no pluralismo político e no princípio de separação e interdependência dos poderes legislativo, executivo e judiciário. Em 1990, abraçamos o sistema de democracia cultural como o nosso modo de viver. Conseguimos edificar um modelo moderno de governação local, mantendo a sua rica diversidade cultural. Presentemente, uma das prioridades do nosso país é a consolidação da política de descentralização. Desde 2020, adotamos um novo modelo de eleição dos governadores de província na base de listas de partidos políticos, modelo esse que resultou no processo de diálogo entre o governo e o partido Renamo, tendo em conta a realidade concreta de Moçambique. Excelências, durante algum tempo, Moçambique era associado à imagem de um país marcado por um conflito armado, que causou muito sofrimento ao nosso povo e atrasou a realização do nosso sonho de construir uma nação próspera. Esta imagem passou para o passado, graças ao nosso compromisso com o diálogo construtivo e inclusivo, como a única via de alcançar consensos na base do princípio de que as boas ideias não têm a cor política. Foi nesse quadro que, em 2019, que assinamos o Acordo de Paz e Reconciliação Nacional com a Renamo, com o envolvimento de parceiros internacionais e através do qual decorre numa fase bastante avançada o processo de desarmamento, desmobilização e reintegração, aquilo que designamos por DDR, dos antigos guerrilheiros da Renamo. Infelizmente, desde 2017, o nosso povo está a ser atacado por grupos terroristas em alguns distritos da província nortenha de Cabo Delgado, que resultaram no assassinato de mais de 2.000 cidadãos e criaram mais de 850.000 deslocados. A este alto custo humano, soma-se o impacto de destruição de capital físico, devastação de meios de sustento, bem como através das perspectivas entraves às perspectivas de desenvolvimento econômico e social da província de Cabo Delgado, na zona norte e do país e de forma geral, especialmente o retrocesso na execução dos grandes projetos de exploração de gás natural na bacia do Rovuma. No entanto, tal como demonstra a experiência de muitos países, incluindo nesta região ocidental da África, o terrorismo é fenômeno complexo, ao qual nenhum país se pode considerar imune. Dado a seu caráter transnacional, o combate contra o terrorismo exige a conjugação de esforços dos países. Em Moçambique, pela virtude e bravura das nossas forças de defesa e segurança, com o apoio de forças de países amigos da SADC e do Ruanda, as ações do terrorismo e do extremismo violento estão sendo neutralizadas a ritmo encorajador. A evolução da situação tem permitido a reconstrução das infraestruturas essenciais, como vias de acesso, água, energia, comunicações, hospitais, escolas, entre outras, a reposição das instituições de administração pública e o retorno gradual das populações para as suas zonas de origem. Senhor Presidente da Assembleia Nacional, digníssimos deputados, a luta pela libertação dos nossos países africanos, que teve no Ghana um dos seus mais importantes baluartes, não se limitava tão simplesmente à libertação política. Os apelos constantes de Kwame Nkrumah para que os povos africanos se unissem, tema central da sua obra-prima Africa Unite, assentava na visão de que a nossa independência política de nada serviria se ainda continuássemos dependentes da ajuda externa. A libertação econômica e a integração regional de África continuam a ser um tema central e que está no topo das prioridades da nossa cooperação a nível bilateral com Ghana e dos blocos regionais como a SADC, a CEDEAO, a COMESA mas também a nível continental através da União Africana. Foi neste contexto que assinamos o acordo de cooperação entre o nosso governo e o governo do Ghana, logo no primeiro dia da nossa visita a este belo país do Atlântico. O acordo contempla uma forte componente de cooperação nos diferentes setores econômicos, desde a agricultura, a indústria e comércio, o turismo, os recursos minerais, a ciência e tecnologia, entre outros. Queremos beneficiar da boa experiência do Ghana na criação de um quadro legal que garanta uma gestão transparente e sustentável dos recursos estratégicos, em especial os minerais preciosos como o ouro, mas também o petróleo e o aprimoramento do conteúdo local para o empoderamento do empresariado nacional, criando rendas para as famílias moçambicanas. Moçambique é um país dotado de importantes reservas de gás natural, carvão, grafite, areias pesadas e outros minérios preciosos, alguns já em fase de exploração, sem nos esquecer de diversas oportunidades tradicionais nas áreas de agricultura, pesca, turismo e transporte. É do nosso mais alto interesse compreendermos como que o Ghana conseguiu alcançar o sucesso na indústria extrativa para que seja considerado um dos melhores exemplos no mundo, onde a descoberta e a exploração de petróleo, gás e de minerais preciosos não significou maldição, a chamada doença holandesa, mas sim uma bênção em prol da felicidade do povo e da prosperidade do país. A comissão mista prevista para a operacionalização do acordo de cooperação assinado durante a nossa visita tem como principal missão a identificação das áreas específicas e projetos de interesse mútuo envolvendo o setor empresarial, público e privado dos dois países através de Fórum de Negócios Moçambique-Ghana. Na hora difícil em que estamos a terminar a nossa visita do Estado a Ghana, queremos afirmar aos senhores deputados que levamos deste maravilhoso país a convicção de termos reavivado a parceria estratégica com este país que se funda em laços históricos profundos. Agradecemos a reafirmação do presidente Nana Akufo-Addo do seu apoio incondicional da República de Ghana à candidatura de Moçambique a membro não permanente do Conselho de Segurança das Nações Unidas. Como sublinhava Kofi Annan, um dos melhores filhos de Ghana, de África e do mundo, a solidariedade entre nações é necessária e possível. Ela é necessária porque sem solidariedade nenhuma sociedade pode ser verdadeiramente estável e muito menos pode alcançar a prosperidade que pretendemos. Conforme o presidente Nana Addo se referiu em diversos momentos da nossa visita, Moçambique foi um dos países que deu apoio incondicional na eleição do Ghana para membro do órgão das Nações Unidas. Este é o espírito de filhos de África. Digníssimos deputados, durante a nossa estadia neste país, partilhamos também a nossa visão sobre o conflito Ucrânia-Rússia. O meu país absteve-se e é justo explicar a este órgão a nossa abstenção não quer dizer a promoção de violência ou de guerras ou de matanças no mundo. Nós estamos a estimular o diálogo. Abstivemos-nos porque queremos que as duas partes se falem, porque não há nenhuma guerra que termina sem que haja o diálogo. Tanto é assim como deve ser entendida a abstenção de Moçambique, como uma oportunidade que damos a todas as partes para dialogarem, para encontrar uma solução, porque esta guerra está a sacrificar o mundo, o custo da vida está a subir e só com diálogo poderemos encontrar o sossego para os povos daqueles dois países, para o continente europeu, para o mundo inteiro. Excelências, minhas senhoras e meus senhores, a terminar, gostaria de mais uma vez reiterar a nossa gratidão pela oportunidade que nos foi dada para nos dirigirmos a esta casa do povo ganense, espelho da vibrante democracia da República do Ghana. Certamente daqui saímos com boas lições e mais inspirados no aprofundamento da nossa democracia. O breve encontro que tive com o presidente da Assembleia deu para perceber como estão organizados, como estão harmonizados, deu para perceber por que esse país vive sempre em paz. Viva a amizade entre o povo ganense e o povo moçambicano. Muito obrigado pela atenção que nos foi dispensada, mas antes de tudo dizer, o Parlamento moçambicano tem 3 bancadas. Se quer saber aqui se são 2 bancadas, nós temos a bancada maioritária da Frelimo, representada pelo... Podem levantar os 2 deputados que foram aqui apresentados. Temos a bancada da Renamo, que é a segunda maior bancada, representada pela deputada aqui presente. E temos a terceira bancada, que é MDM, representado pelo deputado que foi apresentado. Portanto, podem ver que na minha delegação cabe todas as forças políticas e essa é uma das experiências que trazemos para aqui. E muito obrigado.
Honorable members, you may resume your seats. Honorable members, I think it's proper before I proceed to convey to His Excellency our gratitude and thanks for the very rich address that is delivered. I invite the leaders of the majority and minority caucuses to make some brief remarks. And I think to start with, we invite the Honorable Minority Leader to set the ball rolling before the Majority Leader will come on board. I have been informed that the Honorable Minority Leader, for some good reason, he told me he had to excuse himself and rush to attend to some urgent business. And so he's being represented by the Chief Whip of the Minority Caucus. So Honorable Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Excellency Filipe Nyusi, the President of the Republic of Mozambique. History shows that, the record shows that you are the 4th President of the Republic of Mozambique. You are also serving your 2nd term of 5 years. That's just started on the 15th of January, 2020. The record also shows that your country attained independence in 1975 after a very bitter struggle from 1964 all the way to 1975, where you attained your independence. The records equally shows that we are about the same size in terms of population. You are about 30 million people, just as Ghana is. Your visit to Ghana today is very historic. It's the first of a Mozambican president to visit our country, and the first of a Mozambican president to address us as a house. On behalf of the minority in Parliament and on the behalf of the whole of Parliament of Ghana, I take this opportunity on behalf of my leader to welcome you to Ghana and to welcome you to Parliament of Ghana, and to say that your speech was very inspiring. You date back to the struggle and how your leaders have taken a lot of inspiration from Accra and from Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, our first Prime Minister and first President of our Republic. I must say that you were very supportive of your neighbors, especially Zimbabwe, in their struggle for their independence. The record shows the resilience of the Mozambicans in support of the Zimbabweans towards their independence, and much same with the fight against the apartheid in South Africa that led to them financing a lot of resurgence within your country, even after you've been able to overcome apartheid and Zimbabwe has attained its independence. Record shows that you continue to live in peace with your neighbors and continue to do the best that you can to support the SADC, the South African Development Corporation, your group. I must say that your coming to Ghana rekindled the need for African countries to begin to put mechanisms to establish trade more within Africa than doing trade with Europe. It is said that it is easier to export any commodity from Ghana to Europe than to export a commodity from Ghana to Mozambique or Mozambique to Ghana. We as African people must learn to trade more within, because it's the only way our independence will be meaningful. So long as we continue to rely only on political independence and not fight to be able to liberate ourselves economically, the challenges that confront us will continue to face us. It is unfortunate to hear that since 2017, terrorism has entered the northern part of your country and you continue to struggle with it. It is our prayer as your sister country that you'll be able to overcome this major challenge of terrorism. It is spreading across Africa because we continue to see it as individual country problem, instead of seeing it as an African continent problem. And I want to believe that if African leaders begin to see terrorism as an African problem, we'll be able to get an African solution to it and not leave it to individual countries and sitting and saying that, oh, it hasn't gotten to me and therefore it is my neighbor's headache. If we see it as all of us headache, I'm sure that we'll be able to find solution to it and be able to collectively work to push back and do the things that will prevent terrorism from spreading across Africa. I must end with thanking you sincerely with your team, from your ambassador, your ministers, the members of parliament that have accompanied you to come to Ghana, to welcome all of you to Ghana and to say that we know you will learn from us, but we equally have a lot to learn from you. You will see that we have a parliament that's just two-party dominance. But in our country, we have well over 20 political parties that participate in so many activities. But currently, we have just the two dominant parties in our house. And we can see that your delegation is a reflection of what your parliament is. Our parliament is represented in the Pan-African Parliament, and when you look at the delegation, it reflects our strength. We are represented in the ECOWAS Parliament, it reflects our strength in the House. We equally here do a lot of things, teaming together to achieve the common purpose of developing our country. It is our prayer that this your visit is going to open many doors and will strengthen the relationship between our two sister countries. I've heard, Mr. Speaker, whispering to us leaders that we should do well to establish between the two sister parliaments, the Mozambican Ghana Parliament Friendship Association. And I'm sure that the two leaders will ensure that in the nearest future, we'll have a delegation equally visiting your parliament to strengthen the friendship and the sister relationship that you have opened the doors today. We pray that when you are set to go back home, the good Lord will take you back home safely. On behalf of the minority once again and the minority leader, I want to welcome you sincerely to the Parliament of Ghana. You are most welcome.
Honorable members, definitely it's now the time of the majority leader to make his remarks. Majority leader, you may do so now.
Speaker, thank you for the opportunity granted to add my voice to that of you, Mr. Speaker, and the representative of the minority leader today, the minority chief whip, in welcoming the distinguished President of the Republic of Mozambique to Ghana and indeed to Ghana's parliament, the first that we're witnessing in this parliament from a president of Mozambique. Speaker, as has already been alluded to, the Republic of Mozambique attained independence after a long struggle. The struggle was led by the Frelimo, which itself was led by Comrade Samora Machel, who after independence became the first president of the Republic. Similarities have been alluded to between Ghana and Mozambique in population, 31.8 million for Mozambique and 31 million for Ghana. Speaker, the reality, however, is that the landmass of Mozambique is about 801,000 square kilometers, whereas that of Ghana is about 355,000 square kilometers. That means that Mozambique is about twice the size of Ghana. And that also means that the population density of Ghana is about twice that of Mozambique. The GDP of Mozambique for now is about 40 billion United States dollars, and I'm quoting the 2020 figure, whereas that of Ghana is in the region of about 80 billion now. That is twice that of Mozambique. But let's recognize that Mozambique at independence was one of the poorest countries on the continent. Today, it is about the fastest growing economy in Southern Africa, and that is most commendable, growing at a rate of about 5.5 GDP growth rate as of 2021. Mr. Speaker, the country Ghana indeed is premised on attaining for ourselves and posterity the blessings of liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity. And this finds expression in the structured system of our governance, the executive, the judiciary, and parliament. A well-established and well-structured parliament based on a well-structured committee system which propels our parliamentary agenda. Admittedly, however, Mr. Speaker, the visit, as already mentioned by the minority leader, is supposed to open vistas for us for the deepening of cooperation. Mr. Speaker, Mozambique produces cotton cashew nuts, sugarcane, cassava, corn, rice, tropical fruits, beef, and poultry. Ghana has these products and more. We want to reinvigorate our cotton industry. Cotton production in the country has more or less collapsed. What lessons can we learn from Mozambique? Ghana is determined to upscale cashew nut and sugarcane farming. What lessons again can we learn from Mozambique? What lessons can we learn from Mozambique in poultry farming and beef production? 20, 30 years back, Ghana was the home to the largest poultry farm in sub-Saharan Africa, Daku Farms. It's gone under. Mozambique today is emerging strongly in that area. Can we compare notes? The Speaker, in industry, Mozambique produces food, beverages, fertilizers, soap and paints, as well as textile, cement, glass and tobacco. Our textile industry is gone under. Mozambique is closer to China, and in terms of dumping of industrial products, including in particular fertilizers, textile, soap, and food beverages, their domestic production could be at risk, more at risk than Ghana. Yet Mozambique has developed internal shocks. How have they done it? How have they managed to protect local industry? Again, there are useful lessons to learn. The Speaker, the cordial historical relations and bonds of friendship between Ghana and Mozambique dates back to the liberation struggle in Africa when the founding fathers of the two countries teamed up in the fight against colonial rule, as has been alluded to by His Excellency the President. But thereafter, we omitted to continue the cooperation. That is why we haven't seen too much high-profile interactions between the two countries. Notwithstanding, the Speaker, lately, we have seen some high-profile visits between the two countries, which have been facilitated by the Ghana Embassy in Harare, which holds concurrent accreditation to Mozambique in that regard. And we may remind ourselves of the visit to Mozambique by His Excellency Mrs. Lordina Mahama, former First Lady of the Republic of Ghana. The former First Lady had gone to Mozambique in the 7th Stop Cervical Cancer in Africa Conference. Speaker, in June 2019, His Excellency Nana Ifa Apinti, a special envoy of the Republic of Ghana, went to Mozambique to deliver a special message from the President, His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, to the President, Excellency Filipe Nyusi, President of Mozambique. The visit was to solicit the support of Mozambique for Ghana's bid to host the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area. Speaker, again, we visited Mozambique, and the visit was by the former Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Honorable Robert Ahunka Lindsay. Speaker, so we have started on a good trajectory, and we believe what is happening today would further deepen the relationship. Mozambique, as we do know, has the 4th largest reserve of natural gas in the world, after Russia, Iran, and Qatar. Agric, which is the mainstay of the economy, employs more than 80% of labor force, just as Ghana used to have. The Speaker, tourism is also a major foreign exchange earner for Mozambique. Today's visit by His Excellency, the President, is supposed to finalize the 2 draft agreements on general cooperation and visa waiver, and also the inauguration of the first TJCC session between Ghana and Mozambique. The two countries, before the visit of the President, were yet to sign any bilateral agreements, and thankfully, the bilateral agreements are going to be signed by the two leaders to really mark a new beginning for bilateral cooperation between Ghana and Mozambique. The potential areas of cooperation between the two countries to inure to the benefit of the two countries are huge. In the areas of agriculture, especially pineapple production, and also fisheries. And then, of course, energy and oil and gas resources. There could be a lot of cooperation in these areas. The Speaker, above all, in the full recognition that treaties and protocols to deepen bilateral cooperation must be ratified by Parliament, it is important that cooperation between these two countries be extended to the level of the people's representatives in order for the relevant legislation of the two countries to be carried along, the relevant legislators of the two countries to be carried along in any future endeavors that will inure to the benefit of the people that we represent in the respective countries. The Speaker, Ghana has established, as I indicated, a framework of governance to bring the two countries together. And the good thing is that we want to escalate this to the level of the formation of the Ghana-Mozambique Parliamentary Society or Parliamentary Association. And indeed, after the visit of the President, we will indeed come round to do that, just so that we'll be able to follow up this discourse, that we don't leave it to fester. Mr. Speaker, I thank you, and once again, let me thank the President, His Excellency, for this visit, and want to believe that this will mark a new beginning in the cooperation and partnership between Ghana and Mozambique. I thank you once again for the opportunity.
Honorable members, you listened to the remarks of the two leaders, and I can tell you what they said is just the tip of the iceberg. For Africa to develop, I think this is the way to go. We need to look within ourselves, acknowledge and appreciate our values, work together and market those values to the good people of the world. We are blessed as a parliament for receiving the second president from the Portuguese former colonies. You recall not long ago we received His Excellency the President from Angola, and today we are blessed with the President of the Republic of Mozambique. And you all recall that when the Portuguese landed in Ghana at the shores of Shaman in 1471, they erected a huge cross. That is as far back as 1471. Before they moved on. And that signaled the beginning of the Catholic Church. And I think in Mozambique, the Catholic Church forms about 50% of the population. We have Ghanaians there. The numbers are not large. Yes, I'm told about 60. But they are in two groups of the old, the professionals, and the youth. But happily for them, the good people of Mozambique, led by His Excellency the President, have been so hospitable to them that in spite of the paucity of numbers, they have made an impact, and some of them, true to our passion, are very good footballers in Mozambique. Honorable members, I think that I don't have the appropriate words to describe the speech that His Excellency the President had just delivered. All I can say is that it was rich with knowledge and wisdom, and that we are so grateful that you shared this with us. We also thank His Excellency the President of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for giving us this opportunity, because it was he who actually communicated to us that he has this distinguished guest with him, and he has expressed the interest to at least share his words of wisdom with us in the form of an address. We gladly, on your behalf, accepted the request, and that is why His Excellency the President of Mozambique is here today. And this morning, I did draw your attention to the fact that the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association International Conference will be taking place in Canada. What has happened is not a coincidence. It's an act of God. That whilst we were receiving this distinguished delegation from Canada, His Excellency the President from Mozambique has also arrived and received by us with a powerful delegation. And it's important for you to know that in spite of the fact that they came from the Portuguese background as a colony, they opted to be part of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association. And so the association has met in the Parliament of Ghana, and it's a pleasure to welcome all of you. With this, I want to, on behalf of the House and on my own part, sincerely thank you for your visit and the wise counsel composed in your address to this honorable House. We are most grateful, and you are extremely warmly welcome. Honorable members, since there was a statement on the floor at the time that the Honorable First Deputy Speaker was compelled to suspend proceedings to pave way for this address, I think it's proper I invite him, the Honorable First Deputy Speaker, to take the chair and to continue with the statement, whilst I, with the support of the leaders, conduct His Excellency the President out of the chamber. I will definitely share your pleasantries with him and return to continue with proceedings. With this, Your Excellency, it is really a pleasure to have you, and we are extremely grateful. We will now, with your kind permission, conduct His Excellency the President and his delegation out of the chamber. We do so now. Thank you so much. His Excellency the President has offered to at least go around and exchange some pleasantries with members. I'm sure he has your kind permission.
Other members, shall we resume our seats? Other members, kindly resume your seats, please. Order. I will now invite the ranking member for Youth and Sports to continue with the statements. Can I have some order at the majority bench? Yes, Honorable Ranking Member, you may continue with your statement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, after that inspiring speech by His Excellency, the President of Mozambique, thank you for allowing me to continue. And I continue, Mr. Speaker, by saying the recent match fixing in Ghana, where during the Premier League, there was a report of match fixing between Ashanti Gold and Inter Allies with a fixed score line of 5-1 against Inter Allies by the central defender Hashmin. The central defender Hashmin Musa scored 2 own goals on purpose to destroy the match fixing plot upon having a hint of match fixing. Mr. Speaker, permit me at this point to commend the Ghana Football Association for taking the bold step to investigate into the matter that occurred on the 17th of July 2021, as well as sanctioning the parties involved. This will serve as a deterrent for those football actors who are involved in the act of fixing matches just for their parochial interest of gaining large financial rewards. Mr. Speaker, Interpol's report also states that, and I quote, Interpol and FIFA entered into a 10-year agreement in 2011 to work together to combat match fixing, unquote. They indicated that the essential goal of their efforts against match fixing is prevention through education and prevention through law enforcement. And added, and I quote, education raises awareness among all the key actors in football, players, coaches, referees, directors, in order to prepare them for the inevitable encounters with criminals who would corrupt them, since there is the realization that some key actors are ignorant of what goes into match fixing and therefore fall prey to fixers, unquote. The more prepared these key actors are, the more they are able to recognize the tactics of the match fixers and resist them. Mr. Speaker, I therefore state that every effort must be put together to protect integrity in sports, to mitigate match fixing, if not to eliminate it completely. In view of this, I suggest that there must be a review of Interpol's reports which gives some recommendations to dealing with match fixing. These recommendations, which include the following, are worth considering to help free our sports, particularly football, from the devil that is eating deep into the beautiful game we enjoy. 1. Face-to-face training to the key target people identified, players and match officials involved in international competitions. Training should be delivered at FIFA events and additional training opportunities explored with other external partners with direct access to these target groups, such as football youth academies. 2. Develop a variety of training tools in various formats that can be distributed to identify additional target groups, such as players and match officials in lower leagues, where face-to-face training delivered by Interpol is not feasible. 3. Develop and deliver train-the-trainer courses for members of football associations and law enforcement to build training capacity at the national, regional levels and ensure delivery of effective anti-match fixing training to all key actors. 4. The need for law enforcement and to have a thorough understanding of the sports betting market, both regulated and unregulated, in order to effectively investigate match fixing. And 5. Develop and deliver face-to-face training, especially for investigators from law enforcement and football associations, that include training on specific investigative techniques, understanding illegal betting markets, and coordinating with international partners. Mr. Speaker, to ensure proper training of the identified groups in paragraph 4 of this statement, I would want to add that training, education, and awareness need to be designed in accordance with their type and level of influence. Groups with direct influence on the outcome and course of the match should receive face-to-face training, while groups with indirect influence on the outcome and course of the match may require other awareness-raising interventions. Mr. Speaker, I will conclude my statement by encouraging the GFA not to rest on its laurels, but strive harder to ensuring that match fixing does not take over the games to kill interest, as it makes matches so predictable. And must also ensure that football clubs comply with the statutes of the Federation at all times, as this would attract corporate sponsorship, increase cash flow, boost domestic football, as well as restore credibility into our games locally and internationally. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes. Yes, Honorable Minister Filipe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this statement made by my good friend,
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, please
the
proceed.
Chief Whip is making an intervention, so I want to yield to him.
Hey, that's what? I didn't hear you. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to inquire for, there was a similar statement in the same subject matter, which was admitted by you yesterday. So since they are in the same category, the Chief Whip from the government side was signaling to me as to whether the two we presented so that we comment on both of them to be able to save time. That's why it was signaling to me. But I don't know. The ball is in your court. You call the shot.
There was only one statement admitted by Mr. Speaker, which is before me. The honourable member may be granted the opportunity to comment. So we can proceed.
Speaker, besides the point, the member in question is present not in the chamber, so I guess we can proceed. And when he comes, he could as well comment as directed by Speaker.
Yes, Honourable, you may proceed with your comment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Woyome for making this important statement touching on the integrity of the game of football in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, I think my honorable colleague couldn't have done this at any other time than now, when indeed we have evidence of cases of match fixing in Ghana. Football indeed is the passion of the nation, and not just the nation, worldwide. It is reputed as perhaps the #1 sport which is enjoyed by the majority of the population. But football is best admired if the integrity of the game is upheld. So anything which will mar the integrity of the game ought to be spoken against and ought to be challenged. And it is for this reason I will want to add my voice to the maker of the statement in commending the GFA for being bold enough to be able to take the measures that they have taken against the clubs in question. The Speaker, the issue of where the outcome of games are predetermined even before the games are played actually mar the integrity of the game. And to this, I will say that it should not be limited to only officials of football teams and players alone, but all stakeholders who have a role to play in making sure that the integrity of the game is intact. By this, I am referring to even the administrators of the game, the Ghana Football Association itself, the officiating officials, which is usually spearheaded by the referees appointment authority, the match commissioners, and all other officials who have a responsibility in making sure that the rules of the games are applied. I wouldn't want to also leave out the officials of competing teams who will try as much as possible in their own ways to even influence the outcomes of matches. There are evidence, not just in Ghana, but also in other parts of the world, where cases have been tried against officials who have tried to change the outcome of a game by trying to influence match officials. I think these things mar the beauty of the game, and it is about time FIFA and the Football Governing Authority come up with measures to check some of these things. It is for this reason that I will want to commend the GFA for taking these measures against the two clubs that were just reprimanded in Ghana. But Mr. Speaker, sometimes when justice is delayed, the importance of such justice is also understated. Especially in the case of Ghana, this issue occurred just at the end of the immediate past season. It took us almost 1 year before the outcome of the investigations and disciplinary actions came out. I want to believe that if this had come out earlier, it would have stemmed out some of the incidences and occurrences that we have had in the current season. So, much as we appreciate the beauty of the ruling, we will also plead that whoever has a responsibility in making sure that justice is administered in cases like this, do so in good time so that the essence of the punishment will be meaningful. Mr. Speaker, apart from this, let me take this opportunity to also address the issue of hooliganism at match venues. Oftentimes, spectators will go to match venues thinking that the outcome of a game should just be the one that they expect. But in football, there are only 3 possible outcomes. Your team either wins, draw, or lose. So you should be prepared as somebody who is a keen follower of the game for either of these 3 outcomes. But oftentimes, if the expected results do not go the way spectators want, they take the laws into their own hands, and sometimes the result of it brings about loss of property, loss of lives, and what have you. If that happens, it mars the beauty of the game of football, which is expected to entertain, which is also expected to also add to bringing people together. So, Mr. Speaker, once again, I want to commend my colleague and to wish all followers of the game that we should all help in making sure that the rules of the game are always observed and respected at all times. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity granted me to comment on the statement ably presented by our ranking member on the Sports, Youth and Culture Committee. Right Honourable Speaker, the effect of betting on our game is not something that we can just talk about and let it go. In fact, it defeats the principle of fair play as instituted by the whole world on especially football. The advent of betting companies into our game with the demise of our own Ghana Football Lottery spelled the beginning of, let me say, the integrity of the game. These betting companies are coming in the guise of supporting our clubs with their so-called financing, but they are only making money out of our football and also making our game dirty. Mr. Speaker, what happened in that match between Ashanti Gold and Inter Alliance is not out of the ordinary. It's happened so many instances. It's just the case that this particular one, like we say, everybody is a thief unless you are caught. It is affecting our game. Today it's gotten to a level whereby these people, because they use systems that are able to put data together, before the commencement of the match, they know the number of people who have put bets on a particular club. So they have agents at the stadium, influence clubs, match officials, and individual players to turn the result around so that they, the betting companies, will make more money and turn around and give some to the clubs as sponsorship. It is very important that we take a look at it, because this could lead even to influencing the result of our national team matches. Because if we don't nip this in the bud, those players could possibly even be influenced at the national level. So we need to seriously look at this. In Europe, betting is a very serious crime, even though these betting companies are also sponsoring teams in Europe. But because there are checks and balances to be able to know, they dare not try to influence results in matches outside the country. And in Europe, if you are even a player or a former player and you are caught betting in a game, you are banned. Recently, an old player like Paul Scholes faced the hatchet for betting on the result of a match. But here we have players who are playing for House of Folk, Kotoko, Olympics, and the rest, betting on their own matches. How do you expect the players to play in those matches? Because there are people with the betting companies who already know that huge number of people have bet on a positive result for Kotoko or House. So they tell those players, and they also bet on the other side, so that when the result came, the players will be richer. So players are no more playing for clubs because they love the clubs, because of the game, but because of their pockets. Honorable Speaker, we must also insist that the clubs also take good care of their players. If a player is receiving 500 cedis a month, the player will definitely be influenced. 500 cedis a month. A player playing for House of Folk, Kotoko, Olympics, and these clubs receiving 500 cedis a month. How do you expect a player to survive? So it is important that our clubs to also take a look at themselves, how they will be able to make sure that they take the welfare of the players, very important, to prevent those players from being influenced by these betting companies so that they could influence outcome of their matches. But the most critical one for me, Right Honourable Speaker, as we discuss this issue, is the effect of this betting on our school children and their education. I thought that we have a regulation and a law that says that betting is restricted to people under 18. Right Honourable Speaker, go to these betting spots and you see school children under the age of 18 who are supposed to be in classrooms in the betting shops and stands. And that is all that they do. Recently you heard that at KNUST, some students have used their fees to do betting. And so they couldn't pay their fees and now being rusticated and calling on government to come and save them. This thing is very dangerous and very serious, and we must look at it from that. It's going to have effect on our education. Because in some of us, our constituencies, it's almost like a normal military exercise to see young ones trooping betting sites, and when you see them bunch up at a place, they are not only watching football, but they are praying that their bets will come true. Mr. Speaker, I think that we must not just allow this thing to go. We must look at our regulations and the legal regimes that control and monitor the operations of these betting companies. Let's not take it that they are helping our clubs, so we should just allow them laissez-faire to do what they want. We must critically look at their operations and try and make sure that their activities do not unduly affect the moral fiber of our society, especially in terms of our game and also in terms of the upbringing of our youth and our young boys and girls in schools. With these few words, Right Honourable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity given me to contribute to the statement. Thank you.
No, let me give it to the honourable member for Abuakwa South first.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this statement. Honourable Speaker, I have to make a confession. I've never stepped on a football field, even when I was a young man. And football is not something of great interest to me, but I was a bit scandalized when I read a statement a good friend of mine delivered to me on the same lines. I think it's the second statement which has not been read. And I was scandalized for one simple reason. That sometimes the politicians are the ones who are the center stage of allegations of corruption. They keep telling us the politicians are corrupt. But if in the area of football, this kind of activities go on, and the whole reason why majority of people who converge at the sports stadium, and sometimes even the sports stadium, the situation is so terrible, some people even lose their lives. It's a charade. State-managed, what's it called, football arrangements, that leaves much to be desired. And that level of corruption should be checked. Honourable Speaker, I was just trying to come to terms with this understanding that there was a verdict of the Ghana Football Association Disciplinary Committee on the Ashanti Gold and Inter Alice game of 5-1 score line, which was being used for the betting purposes. So I was contemplating that is it the betting which determines how they score, or what? Is it an arrangement in which people will say that we're going to earn so much money if you should score this way, or what? I was extremely confused. I thought if you wanted to bet as to whether one football club will win over the other, it's a matter of your guess. But if it is an arrangement in which the betting even determines the performance of the footballers on the field, Honourable Speaker, it leaves much to be desired, and it's a kind of new levels of corruption that is very cancerous indeed. Honourable Speaker, what I will say is that in every realm there's a regulator. And if you check in a serious place where human activities are involved, it is the strength of the regulator which will determine the discipline of that enterprise or undertaking like football. So unless we have a strong regulator who is above board, so that if you have what I call traducers of the law of such nature, and they are not punished severely, some should even be banned for maybe 30 years. Honourable Speaker, this new cancer of we talking about individuals going to bet to determine outcomes of football matches, and football players who will score their own team, so that their premeditated arrangements will come to fruition. We'll have a long way to go. And I'm praying that the football enterprise in Ghana in particular, will not suffer because of this foul arrangement called betting, and also match fixing and match manipulation. Honourable Speaker, this is what a non-footballer can add to the statement. I'm grateful for your kind indulgence.
Very well. That brings us to the end of comments on the statement. That is the end of statement time. Yes, Honourable Chief Whip.
Speaker, I guess under the circumstance, I want to move for adjournment of the House to tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion for adjournment.
Honourable members, the motion to adjourn the House has been moved and seconded. All in favour of the House adjourning, say aye. All against, say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The House is accordingly adjourned to Thursday, the 26th of May 2022 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon. Before I rise, can I remind all members of the Privileges Committee that our meeting is scheduled for 12 o'clock. Thank you.